Hello, and welcome to this episode of BookSmarts, Authors on Show, a creation of Clarissa Burt, founder of In the Limelight Media. I am your host, Cristina Francy, and today I am thrilled to be interviewing Susan Conley, who has a world of expertise in the global professional service space. With decades of experience in client-focused leadership roles at EA, Andersen, and Accenture, Susan wears a superhero cape when a client crisis strikes. Her market-proven strategies and solutions have saved a multiple of at-risk clients. Her special expertise is stepping in before a client crisis erupts. As Susan says, being proactive is far more fun and a better way to do business. Susan launched her consulting practice, Rock Biz, to focus on next-level client loyalty. Her upcoming book is titled Your Loyalty Clients Rock: 6 Client Conversations Sure to Advance Your Relationship and Results. Susan Conley knows the business of relationships and the power of loyalty economics. Susan, thank you so much for coming on. I'm sorry I butchered your intro just a little bit, but I'm so excited to have you on to talk about how to rock your biz. For 2023, we really need to help up-level everyone's business, whether you are on social media, whether you have your own business. Client loyalty is really important, what we were talking about before the episode started. But before we dive into the topic today, can you give the audience a little bit more about your background and how you got to where you are today?
Sure. Thank you, Christina. And I am excited to talk about this topic. And given our conversation before you hit the record button, audience, if you listen to what you're going to be learning, realize that you can use it at home and at work. All of these skills and strategies and solutions transfer beautifully to personal relationships as well. So I started my career in global accounting firms. I don't do accounting, but I happen to, again, know and love the business of relationships. So I started doing business development for accountants primarily and some attorneys, and realized that our human tendency is to go after that new shiny thing and get all this new business in the door and then forget about the long-standing clients who have been loyal. And so it's almost this leaky bucket syndrome that happens. I forget the guy decades ago who came up with that, but you're filling the bucket, but you're unaware that a lot of those clients are leaving out of the bottom of the bucket because they haven't been tended to and engaged with for some time. So I launched out on my own to focus solely on client loyalty, because the loyalty economics, as we talked about, Christina, they buy more from you, they recommend you to others, and they advocate for you in the marketplace. So they really become your secondhand marketing department.
Yeah. So how did you first become so passionate about this topic of client loyalty?
Oh, there's some long all-nighters. I thought all-nighters were associated only with college, but I learned that is not the case. And with some of these big firms, we'd have these marquee clients, very important, again, brought everybody in from around the world to gain the client. Years go by and that client hasn't been pleased or satisfied. And so they put the work out for bid. So then we're going through all these hoops and trying to save our own work. So it really became obvious to me of how about if we conquer that monumental challenge of paying attention to existing clients just as much as we do for the new clients and the new pursuits that can be so exciting. It was just too many all-nighters. I thought, I got to go help people once we get them in the door. Here's what I love to say: how to keep your great paying clients loyal, staying clients. And that gets me fired up. And I can save people time and money and energy and all-nighters.
Yeah, no, I love that. Client loyalty is so important. But for you, why do you think client loyalty is so vital to the long-term success and growth of a business?
Well, I think it does get back to those three. And if you want a little smile, the way I remember the 3 most important benefits, it's the acronym BRA. Loyal clients buy more from you, recommend you to others, and they advocate for you in the marketplace. But here's a statistic too, Christina. It costs 6 to 8 times more to go out and get a new client than it does to sell something additional to an existing client. So again, I don't do numbers well, but I get that. That's some
Yeah.
good economics working on your behalf and for your bottom line.
Yeah, no, I'm not a math person either, but I like those numbers.
But you can
I
get
can
that.
understand that one. So what is the number one driver of overall satisfaction and loyalty? And if you could do only one thing, what would it be?
Well, as you read off, the subtitle of my book is 6 conversations sure to advance your client relationships and results. So I love all 6. But since you ask the number one, if you're only going to do one,
Okay.
I would recommend the third one, and that is an expectations exchange. And the reason being is if you can do this up front, it is simply what it says. You're exchanging expectations, exchanging communication protocols, issue resolution. How are you going to handle something if the problem comes up? How are you going to identify gaps and close them as they occur? And here's why, if you're going to do nothing else, do that up front, because it's the number one driver of overall client satisfaction by a ratio of 2 to 1. And
Oh, wow.
again, you and I don't do math or love math, but again, that one's just a no-brainer. So, because what it does is it sets up your whole roadmap for your service delivery and your relationship development. So they tell you. And then the other thing too, it's important. A lot of my clients say, well, wait a minute, this sounds like a one-way street. You're just having the client spell out where, their expectations lie, and you've got to exceed all of them. Oh no, it's an exchange. So you get to hear each other out, put a plan in place, an action plan. And if you can't meet an expectation, then at least you get to manage it along the way, so there's no surprises in the end.
Yeah, something kind of popped in my head because, like Kim Kardashian kind of did that new thing, like when the social media was out, is she would ask her followers, like, what products do you like? What colors do you want? And she was very much like, had a leg up because she had like a following and a name, but she used her platform to collect data information so she can create that client-based loyal people and to give the products that most people are looking for. And I thought that that was really brilliant of her to use the platform in that way. And I remember her talking about it in an interview, because social media first was coming out when she was kind of coming out. And so it really gave her a leg up. And I think all of the sisters too, to figure out what their fans want, what the audience wants. And that, just reminded me of that client exchange. It's not just them doing the work, but you're doing the work as well and having to collect that information. So it was really great that you brought that up. I think that's a great key.
Well, and I love that example too, because everyone can relate to that, and how simple. It just was a question released out to her audience. And I love to say, read fewer minds, ask more questions.
Yeah, curiosity is really good.
Well, you will love this. I love that you said that. Albert Einstein's, one of my favorite quotes of him is remain curious, stay curious. So that's a great word you just used.
Yeah, being curious in every aspect of your life, whether it's like a conversation with like your spouse, curious about like what your business partner's thinking, curious about like what product you want to do, like just stay open-minded and curious. I always think that's a good thing. So you were talking about like, we have like the most important 6 client conversations that you can conduct. What is a high level overview of these 6 important conversations, of all 6 of them?
Sure. One other question, and it reminded me of this question that I love. It's a 3-part question when you brought up the Kardashian sisters. You could do this with your podcast viewers and listeners, with both of your podcasts, and that is, especially at the beginning of a year, what would you like us this coming year to start doing, to stop doing, and continue doing?
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I do need to do that. I need to up my audience loyalty game.
Well, it's just again, it's we get so busy and think we have to come up with the newest, greatest, fanciest new approach, when in fact it can come in the form of a question, and your audience oftentimes can give such great insight to direct our future.
Yeah, what if you're having a hard time like getting your audience to like actually engage with you? Because sometimes, like, people post something and they ask a question and there's really no feedback, or there's like one or two. Like, what can someone do to like increase the conversation? Because I think it is hard because everything gets so like muddled in social media. Sometimes, like, how would you help someone to actually get the engagement that they're looking for?
I add value in some way, whether
Mhm.
that's a content nugget or a free giveaway, or you know, share this. Let us know that you shared this and be entered into a drawing. I mean, I think that if there's a way to add some value
Mhm.
and free content along the way, or special offerings, I think that gets our attention. But yeah, you're right. We're saturated. We are all super, super busy.
Yeah.
Uh, but anytime you can engage a question or spotlight an audience member in some way, and just make people feel important and valued, and whatever form that takes. And you might even ask them, or take a subset, a focus group of some of your most loyal listeners and say, listen, what is it that causes you to click on this or share this post or whatever it might be? Again, those questions can come right from your audience oftentimes.
Perfect. So, do all of your skills, strategies, and solutions for business relationships translate over to success in personal relationships? And if so, how? I know you kind of mentioned it a little bit that it could be, used in both the home and in business, but so how can they translate over?
Well, I should do a little assessment myself and do a statistic. How many of my tools and strategies do translate over? I'm going to take a wild guess and say 95%. Because again, maybe the questions change. So for instance, I love asking clients, what is it like? You could ask this of your listeners and viewers. What is it like what is it like doing business with me?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very brave question to ask, and you need to be quick to listen and slow to respond. But what is it like being in my audience? What is the good, the bad? What can I improve upon? But if you take that same question home, it could take the form of, hey, little junior, what is it like being on the other side of me? What is it like to experience me? What would you like me to start, stop, and continue doing? So it might take a little bit of a twist on some of these things you do in the professional world, but with a little bit of tweak, you can bring them home as well. And one thing, I know you have littles. Do you have one or two kids?
Two. I have a 4-year-old and an 18-month-old.
Oh, little. I knew they
Yeah.
were tinies. But you could even do this, not so much with the tiniest one, but the expectations exchange that I shared with you. I have been known to bring a flip chart out in the living room with my kids. And I just did it at Christmas. Please let me know, what would it take? And I say one thing, because I want to at least make sure I can do one thing. I
Mm-hmm.
said to them, what will it take for it to be a great Christmas for you? What's one thing you really want to have happen for it to be a great Christmas? And so I know for sure I can at least knock out that top priority. So that's just how you can take some of these ideas and bring them home with you.
No, I love that. So, how can people get their hands on this book?
My website is RockBiz Inc. RickBizinc.com. And there's everything there. And you had asked about, I got off on a little tangent, but the 6 areas of
Oh, yes.
client conversation. And again, they're just conversations. We can tend to overcomplicate them, but very quickly, when you win or lose an engagement, get in there and do a debrief. Why did you win? Why did you lose? It helps your go to market approach, and your market intelligence, what the competition might be doing, comes right out. And then a visioning session. This is where you're there just to listen and see where this could be your audience too. Where do they want to go? What are their goals for the new year? And then that tells you and informs you how you can stay aligned with them. And then
Mhm.
that visioning session feeds into the expectations exchange. And then there is a mid-project review, or maybe in your case, a mid-year review. And then if there is a crisis, if a gap has developed and maybe you're not aware of it, a course correction conversation. And that could be a huge crisis situation or just a small gap, but you want to address those gaps while they're small. As London train signs say, mind the gap so they
Yeah.
don't blow up. And then the last conversation probably secondly, as a second to the expectations exchange, is measuring how you did at the end of a show, the end of an engagement, the end of a matter, whatever it might be. And you might gain feedback quantitatively, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10. How did we do with 10 being the best? And qualitatively, you know, some of those relational development type questions that require more of thought and can really help direct strengthening that relationship in the future. And that's the 6.
Perfect. No, I love that. I know I got to take all these tools and apply it to my own life, in my personal life and my business life. You know, like you said, we do get so wrapped up and busy that we forget about these important little tools to help us succeed to where we need to go. So I think it's a great reminder and a great starting point. And I think anyone who wants to up level their their business this year, you know, increase revenue or whatever it is, they would highly benefit from purchasing your book. So do you have any last words for the audience that they could take away, or do you have any events coming up? Any free giveaways or anything like that?
See, I didn't follow my own. Oh, there is a free giveaway. Yes. On my homepage, there is a free guidebook. If in fact you do run into a client crisis of any sort, and again, or a crisis at home, it really is a step-by-step guide. And it's almost a booklet, really. It's not just a handout of how to restore trust and get the forward momentum going again once you did hit a surprise or a client crisis situation. So that's a free download on my homepage.
Awesome. Well, Susan, thank you so much for coming on this week's episode of BookSmarts Authors on Show. It was such a fruitful conversation. All of Susan's information will be down below in the show notes, so don't be shy. Go say hi. And I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Thank you.